So I'm here with Steve Bradley, the Director of Engineering and Alternate Energy for Cox Enterprise. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Ben.
What I'd like to start to talk to you about first is what your responsibilities are as the Director of Engineering. You know, there are a lot of companies that are starting to add these roles to their businesses, and for somebody as big as you guys, I'd like to get a little bit of an idea of what you're responsible for and ultimately how you define success at the end of each quarter or every year.
Well, as far as my responsibilities go, in addition to just general electrical and mechanical engineering that we provide as a service to all of our subsidiaries, my role is to develop and implement our energy conservation and alternate energy production measures for the company as part of our Cox Conserves program. In doing that, I oversee the strategic direction of the program as well as manage the day-to-day relationships with partners and vendors, to secure our effective, solutions for the program.
And the Cox Conserves program is something that you guys are doing in-house. Can you give us a little insight as to what you guys are trying to accomplish?
Absolutely. The overall goal of Cox Conserves is to further reduce our carbon footprint by 20% in a 10-year period starting in 2007. That's the overriding part of it is that 20%, and that reduction is through everything from electricity to natural gas consumption, fleet fuels, et cetera. With the underlying objective of engaging our employees and our customers and their communities, and really trying to be that catalyst to get them to make similar decisions in their personal lives.
Why did the company decide to start a program like this?
It was really inspired by our at the time CEO and now Chairman Jim Kennedy. Really was through it was his idea, and he was the catalyst that started it. We had been doing energy conservation per his direction for the previous 18 years. Before the program, and he really wanted to make the program have a little bit more punctuation and make it official and make it something that we publicly talk about, mainly for the engagement of our employees, rather than just doing projects that we did for the sake of the good of the company and the environment. So when it was created, we wanted to make sure that not only did we ensure that we were considering the impact of, every dollar we spend, what's the impact on the environment, and of course, what's the impact to our bottom line. And so really that was just the genesis of that idea, was just shifting that needle over from just looking at economic returns to making decisions as a business based on not only the return to, our company, but also the return to the environment.
So as you're prioritizing the different projects and initiatives that your department is taking, give us a little bit of insight onto how you guys really decide, when to pull the trigger on something. Is it because of those financial returns or the amount of CO2? I mean, something's got to be the deal breaker or the deal maker that says, all right, let's go ahead and pull the trigger.
Right. So we have, obviously we have fiscal responsibility to our employees and customers. So, I always want to make sure we include that because, we're not just making decisions solely based on the environment. But, what we do is we study the impact. What is the impact on the environment for that dollar we spend? What is the impact to our bottom line? If the impact to the environment is really great, but yet there's not a big impact to the bottom line, if the expenditure is lower, we may still do the project. But at the end of the day, we just create a matrix. We've got a lot of good projects. Being a national company, we're able to go to places where incentives are good, where utility rates are expensive, and maximize the benefit of every dollar that we spend. So we obviously make those choices once we've decided on technologies that do maximize the benefit to the environment. We're able to also maximize our return by utilizing those incentives. And the way I look at that is the better return we do on these projects today, the more money we've got to spend on more of these projects tomorrow. And so, that's really what I think sets us apart from, other companies, is that our program is not only sustainable for the environment, it's sustainable for our company.
So give me an example of what a project, what a potential project looks like, and one that you've recently pulled the trigger on.
Yeah, so a good recent project that we did that was a great success was installing 1.6 megawatts of fuel cells at 3 of our California Cox Communication locations.
Mm-hmm.
And what the fuel cells do is produce on-site electricity there at our facility. We're burning biogas, which is a renewable fuel. And so what that gives us is 1.6 megawatts of clean energy that's being used at our sites. And in total is about 16% of all of our California electrical consumption. So it's a big portion of our electricity. As far as that project goes, we get several benefits from it. There's federal tax incentives. There's also state rebates for cutting edge green technology like that. But also the location, what they end up at the end of the day with is very low cost power that we can control our own destiny in the future. And what I mean by that is, utility rates come from whatever fuel sources they happen to procure, and not necessarily always do it in the most intelligent manner. We're able to fix our price going into the future for the life of these fuel cells and know that we're going to have that cheap electricity no matter what the rates are doing there at the local utility level. And so what that gives I feel like that gives our cable system a very good advantage going into the future by hedging that future power cost.
So what was I know you mentioned, the price in California, some of the federal and municipal and tax incentives for going fuel cells. Were there other reasons why fuel cells were the ultimate decision instead of, throwing solar panels on the roof or putting a wind turbine on campus?
Yeah, it made sense for that particular application, being that our cable systems have head ends in them, so they have very high load factors, you call it, and basically that just means that they use a lot of electricity all day long. It's very flat. You don't have a typical peak like you would in the day with an office building where the air conditioning comes on, all the people come in, turn on the lights, and turn on their computers. So solar offsets those peaks very well. But when you have a flat load profile all night, all day and all night, it makes sense to look at fuel cell technologies because they're producing that power 24 hours a day. Not saying that there's anything wrong with solar. We've done over a couple megawatts of solar, but just in this application, with the incentives that were available and with the load shape of that facility, we got not only a really good return on our investment, but that fuel cell is making that power, that clean power, 24 hours a day. So we also get a lot bigger bang for the environment, rather than a solar array that is just producing for the 5 or 6 hours during the middle of the day.
And how long do you expect to have the fuel cell up and running before you have to put in a new one or go a different route?
Well, they have a 10-year life, so we're have warranty and maintenance for 10 years on it. So at the end of 10 years, we expect to have to do a major overhaul. But once all the infrastructure is built and in place, we hope that even today's standards, those overhauls are reasonable and a lot less costly than the initial investment. My hope is that 10 years from now, not only will we be doing a cheaper retrofit than we can buy now, but we'll also be doing a much more efficient, technology change out when we do put the new cell stack in.
There's another project that you've done at one of your TV stations that has a bloom box on campus. Can you talk about the impact of that project and where it's at so far?
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually used two technologies. The 1.6 megawatts mentioned was UTC, which is an acid-based fuel cell stack. The bloom unit is a different technology. It's solid oxide, and really the biggest impact you get is with solid oxide. You're able to use the heat in the process of making electricity, and so you get a higher efficiency on the electric side without having to use the thermal output. And so it's a different technology, and it has good applications. And we always try to use a little of everything, because we assume something's going to really rise heads and shoulders above everything else at some point in the future, and we want to experience it all. As far as the Bloom fuel cell at KTVU, it's offsetting. It's providing about 69% of the electricity there. Wow. at the station. And same thing, we're powering it with biogas, so it is a renewable generation technology. Same lifespan. One difference that I expect, with Bloom is, they have a little bit higher efficiency, and keep increasing their efficiency over time. So as we do these change-outs, those stack change-outs I talked about, we may be doing them more frequently with the Bloom boxes, but there's a lot more room with their technology for the efficiency increases. So, we're pretty excited about that possibility of going from, we're running probably at 50% efficiency right now, which is more efficient than, any other power company generation that I know of, and much more efficient than probably their average, which is around 30%. But, we could get into the 60% range, and so we're really excited. The better the efficiency, the more responsibly we're using that biogas, that clean gas source, to make clean energy.
Steve, why does business interest you, and why are you ultimately doing what you're doing?
The alternate energy and the sustainable energy production is really what, is pushed me over the top and really created a lot of excitement, because it allows us to still do what we need to do, to get a good quality product out to our customers, but it allows us to still do it in a responsible way, without any kind of impact or exposure to that.
It sounds like it's some fun problem solving.
Yeah, absolutely. Our employees are really what make it so much fun. It's fun in and of itself to come up with these ideas, and try to think of things that no one else has done before. But our employees really get so excited about this, and that's really what makes it a lot of fun.
Steve, I really appreciate the time that you've given us today, and I look forward to staying in touch.
All right, great.